I asked you guys not that long ago to ask me questions about racing, how to get started in racing. I'm really sorry, I'm getting back to you guys one at a time. I'm just trying to, a lot of them are quite specific anyway. But one of the questions that kept coming up is like, what happens like on the day of a race? Well, I thought I might just show you. Today is the 4th of July. Oh, happy 4th of July. Happy 4th of July, US people. Today is 4th of July, and it is the first club race back here in Sydney. Actually, I haven't researched that. I don't even know it's the first. There might have been one. Today is the first race back here in Sydney. I'm going to bring you guys with me, but I'm going to do it from more of the perspective of someone who, like the things that I'm just normally used to doing on a day that I'm going to go do a club race. Like, I'll just tell you, I'll just show you, and hopefully we learn. Before we get going, I just do want to say I'm not going to make this administrative stuff. Okay, I'm going to cover that specifically in a different vlog about licensing, about specific clubs and all that kind of thing. I definitely want to do that. I want to make this more practically, what do you do? Well, so Heffron Park is an afternoon race. It actually starts this time at 3:15. It used to start at 3, now it's going to start at 3:15. So look, my day is pretty much mine, and I kind of think that's one of the main parts I want to stress to you about, like, what is nice about club racing is it's just a club race. Like, it's a good hard session, but your day is still your day. So for example, like for me, I'm up at a normal hour and it's great. Like, I'm able to go do some work in the morning, then have breakfast with the kids. Kids are upstairs playing schools currently. Elizabeth's gone out for a run and, well, I'm talking to you. So yeah, it's a nice kind of day. Everyone happy? You bet your life we are. So yeah, working back 3:15, depending on how much kind of pre's I want to do. Sometimes I'll turn like the Saturday race into a big day, well, a bigger day, and maybe leave like about 1 or 12:30 and do some sort of pre-rides or something like that, which I might do today. I haven't actually quite worked it out yet. I'll talk to Jesse and Leah and see what they're up to. That's working back from there, kind of nutrition-wise, just gonna have breakfast as usual, but I will try and eat probably like at about 12:30. Don't get bogged down in that stuff. And the reason I say that is, come on down. Don't get bogged down in the, you know, oh, when to eat before this. Like, that's the joy of this, is like, just chill about it, you know? You don't need to be looking at trying to get the right amount of carbs in per hour to do this. Just do what you do. Oh, you want a medal, Kira? Nice one. It's more things than Chris's one anytime soon. Now, while the troops are playing a bit of balloon ball, trademark Eric Mullane 2001, let's assume we're talking about a crit, okay? Specifically here in Sydney, you're mostly club races, they're gonna be crits. Probably 2 different types of events. Something that basically uses the laps, so a total number of laps, and the other is a total number of time plus a couple of laps, which is the most common thing that you'll face here. So 50 minutes plus 2 laps, or an hour plus 2 laps. Kind of feeds in then to what I would display on my bike computer. So very simply, I would set up a lap. So I will have the whole ride, so me riding there and riding back. But then when I get there on the start line and the race starts, I will hit lap, okay? And that will be my race. So that will be like the interval as my race. Time, the lap time, the speed, and distance. And the other one that I sometimes put up here, especially if I'm doing a, sorry guys, all good. Especially if I'm doing a handicap, is I will display average speed, because I kind of have a good idea about what average speed is required by the grade to catch or be the front of the race. So that's kind of what's on my bike computer for these races. How much is this camera loving that direct sunlight? Anyway, guys, what about on the bike, okay? So for me and a lot of the local club races, I would always kind of try and recommend to ride to the race. It's kind of an enjoyable experience. It's one of the things, and I'll take you with me today, it's one of the things that I really enjoy about club racing, is the ride to and the ride, especially the ride after. The ride after is brilliant. That kind of feeds into sort of what you take, because you are taking things for the ride there and the ride back, and then the bit for the race. So try and separate that. And by that, really, I just mean take everything you would normally take on a bike ride. So I've got my frame pump, I've got my saddlebag, I've got my light. You know, it's just a standard bike ride, okay, as far as I'm concerned. The only maybe, okay, and clarify that. So then when I get to the bike race, I will go ahead and probably remove those sort of bits and pieces and make the bike look nice and pretty and racy. Probably take the other bottle off and just race with the one bottle, especially for the hour ride. And that feeds in a little bit to bottles. So I'll have that sort of smaller one maybe as the race bottle for the crit, and that one as a larger bottle, which I'll take for the ride to and the ride back. And I suppose the way I would mentally checklist that is I would sort of literally stand next to the bike, something like that, and go, right, what do I need to be racing my bike right now? And mentally think about that and either put that on or put that into a bar bag. And then I would go to the next step of, okay, what do I physically then need to ride back? So for me, perfect example today, it's really nice winter's day, but after the bike race it will be cool, so I will probably throw some leg warmers in there, and that's me trying to think then beyond just doing the race. This is going to be a specific COVID episode because there's a lot of specific stuff that are happening around this, which again, hopefully you guys will find interesting. And one of the first things that we're doing is using the Buncher. I don't actually know if that's officially how you pronounce it, Kira. No idea. Buncher to sign on. So logging into my Buncher account, I could go to the particular race that I'm going to do. I'm agreeing to the terms and conditions. And what I'm guessing I now have here is something called a race pass. There is my race pass. We had a little bit of a COVID scare here in Balmain this week. So yeah, it's been a bit funky, hence the channel's been the way it has been. But the only nutrition thing I just want to quickly say, guys, is don't OD on coffee in the morning. Don't be 4 coffees deep and then expect your caffeine gel at 3 o'clock this afternoon to be of much value to you. Okay, so maybe just tone it down to 1 or 2. What do you wear? Which is a great question, and really the answer is whatever the hell you want. Well, I suppose it depends what state of Australia you live in, but essentially you can ride in a t-shirt and shorts if you want, especially if you give the guys warning that you're going to. And that, I think, is something that gets lost a bit in cycling, that we get precious about that stuff. Having said that, I'm now going to get precious about that stuff and kind of say, well, look, if you've got some nice stuff, use it. That'd be my kind of suggestion to you. If you've got like a jersey that you really like, then make that your race jersey. Keep maybe one jersey aside for your race jersey. I will kind of warn you though, the one that you set aside for racing, maybe this is pre-COVID, maybe post-COVID this won't exist, but it gets destroyed around the pockets because of the numbers. Like these like bloody safety pins to put in, and they just rip jerseys apart. So just be aware that you know what you really need is you need a good mate who knows how to put pins in without destroying your stuff. That is the key. But guys, when it boils down to it, wear what you want, okay? One of the mysterious parts of all this is like where you find information for this, okay? Now there's one really good resource, buncher.com. Now it's really on top of things here in Sydney. It's got most of the clubs all signed up, especially around the COVID stuff. You can literally go in, choose a day, see what races are on, sign up, and it gives you all the details. Guys, when we started racing, it was so mysterious. It was like, hey, there's this, I think you go a left and then a right turn, and then at like 1:45, someone sticks a flag up and you go, it's way better. And hopefully it's not there yet, but hopefully that will really take over. I should also mention that weather, cancellations, that kind of stuff, the best resource is the club's Twitter accounts. They are normally right on top of that. That's the quickest way to disperse that info, okay? The last little thing I will say is don't bother too much with the club's web pages. They are pretty much out of date. They use Facebook most of the time to keep the resources in there. Kira has songs in her head. You actually went quiet. It's the first time in 4 years. There we go. There's the noises. Kira has songs in her head. Word of advice maybe, should you bring the family? Not initially. Not initially. Get yourself a little bit comfortable with the routines, the idea of racing, all that kind of stuff. You do want to be able to concentrate on actually doing the bike race. Okay. Long term, yeah, definitely. The girls love coming to Heffron Park specifically, but initially, just get your head around doing the race. Okay. Okay. So, guys, we'll hit the road. It's 1:30. I'm leaving a little bit early. There's no sort of set in stone sort of thing. I will say with the COVID stuff, it is probably worth giving yourself a little bit more time. If I linger around too long this afternoon, I'll probably just bail on the race. So I kind of find, if I start thinking, oh, I might bail, I kind of just get my gear on and get out on the bike, and I'm less chance of bailing. And that's the other thing with club racing, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you go or not most of the time. So, you know, the threat of bailing is always there. So let's quickly just talk about what happens when you get to the actual start of the race. Guys, I'm not going to shoot too much footage here today just because I know Randwick Botany, this is their first race back. They've got quite a few sort of COVID protocols that they're sort of following, so I don't want to get in the way of that by pointing cameras around. So I'll kind of talk you through it and talk you through really what was, I suppose, the normal operating procedure, which would be what I would say is to find the sign-on desk and have a really good conversation with the people there about your riding. It's not the first time they've had people turn up to do their first race. They've got a really good idea of what kind of level you're probably going to be at. And again, like, the important thing there is just honesty. Like, just talk about some of maybe the fondos that you've done, even the people you ride with. That can really help. So what I'm sort of getting at there is they'll really point you in the direction of what grade to start in. There is no set grade, beginner's grade. I would say that for someone, you know, let's say in their 30s, pretty fit, rides a bit, I'd say C grade's a great place to start. And after they give you a grade, you'll get a race number. Well, you might not actually now, but you know, normally you would. Maybe you'll need a friend to help you pin on that number, or have a crack at it yourself. It's not particularly hard. It's a good skill to learn. You'll have a start time. The thing about the start time, I'll say, is normally what will happen is you'll get like a rider briefing or some sort of like clarification from people about what the race is, how long it is. Listen, don't be Chris, and don't pay attention to that. That's a really important part. Guys, and after that, well, you're probably just racing your bike and you're going to be getting into it. So I don't want to go into too many details about the specifics of bike racing. I think this is a really interesting subject that we can maybe talk about a bit more in the future, but that's you now on the start line ready to race, which is, yeah, look, it's a lot simpler than I think a lot of people think. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed that. Jess, did you have any thoughts on, what did you say? You said it's up to you to find out.
It's not like an organised tournament. It's up to you to go out and find what time and stuff's on it.
Yeah.
It's cancelled.
So, like, as far as that goes, I reckon the best way, and it's the way I sort of started getting into it, is try and grab a couple of your mates to do it, because at least then they'll force you to go. What Jesse didn't mention is he won the race, which was really cool. And hopefully I'll get some footage and we can break some of that down later in the week. But guys, there's a heap in this, I reckon. This is a really interesting subject. So I want to also come at it from the administrative perspective, and also, like, physically maybe, like, what do you think about when to start racing? I don't know, I'm actually quite motivated to really help you guys out with a lot of that. Maybe bring in some of the authorities, mend a few bridges there. That's a long story, guys. And yeah, let's have this chat, okay? Anyway, as always, share, like, and love. Thanks, guys. See ya. What's the significance? What's the significance of me getting Vegemite out of there? You ask. I hear no one ask, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Last year, during last year's team, we would put a Coles order in before every race, and we'd go to a pickup, okay? And every single time we would order Vegemite, and every single time we would not finish the Vegemite. So I can now inform the members of Team Nero Bianchi in 2019, we have officially now finally completed our Vegemite service. That's the last one.